What up, everybody? This is your favorite host, Khalif Adams, and welcome to our new podcast, The People's Pregame. You, the fans, chose the name of our podcast, and now we're giving you the keys to control everything about this show.
I'm Austin Eckler, running back for the Los Angeles Chargers and owner of Should Have Been Stars, and this is The People's Pregame.
On this week's episode of The People's Pregame, we're checking out Team Style with Jobeth Devara and Sean Geddes, talking strategy with Jose Ruckus, and announcing which one of you had the hottest preseason take for the FCF. But first, a special message from Commish Ray Austin.
What's going on, fans? I am Ray Austin, your commissioner of fan-controlled football. I am here in Atlanta, Georgia with over 165 bad athletes, and we are here waiting for you to pick up your phone, download that app at FCF.io, and join the league. Pick a team. There are 8 bad teams to pick from. We want you a part of our culture, and you know what our culture is? It's LFG. Look it up. And for all you other leagues out there, you ain't got to see us, but you hear us coming. Power to the fans.
I don't know what the commish just dropped on all of us. I'm ready to fight people now. It's time for me to run into the line. I don't know if I'm supposed to be on offense or defense. I don't know if I'm supposed to be running forward or backwards. All I know is if that man put on a sport jacket and told me to do a thing, I'm ready to do whatever he needs me to do to make things happen. Shout out to Ray. That was fantastic. My goodness, for a State of the Union, couldn't ask for anything better than that. So, Ray, one of the things I got to ask you is about the season changes from season 1 to season 2. I know that there are some conversations about some of the rule changes and things you're looking to kind of, keep the game fresh. I'd love to hear your thoughts about changes from season 1 to season 2.
Well, let's start with the biggest change. Last year, we was in a pandemic, and we put on a whole football league in a bubble. Our players were in a bubble. Our staff was in a bubble. We played in a bubble with no fans. This year, I cannot wait for our fans to see our venue. I mean, it's this huge studio built out. They've done a ton of awesome movies there, from Hunger Games to District 9 to all kinds of stuff. And it's the historic Pullman Yards in Atlanta. And I can't be more honored and happy to be there because of the history that it has there. But the fact that we'll finally have fans like cheering for our players and seeing this experience for, in real life for them, it's great to see it on TV. But if you think about it, like, there's only 1% of fans that's ever been into an NFL stadium. We want our place to be a place where people come and say, this is like bananas. We're having a ball here. That's the number one biggest change. The second biggest change is we'll have, we're going from 4 teams to 8 teams. And technically, we're going to 9 teams because we're going to have a practice squad of guys that we're going to be able to bring in to guys getting injured or anything happens, we can always pull from guys. But we're going from a whole 4 teams last year to almost doubling that this year. But also, the thing that we say in our culture is, it's the URL meets IRL, and we've got, what we call our OG teams from, the Should Have Been Stars and Glacier Boys and the Beast and the Zappers. Now we got these new teams, that are NFT teams, from Team Aoki and the Knights of Degen and the Bored Apes, So it's an incredible experience that we're going to have, and we want, again, adding to the different communities that will be a part of all the things that we're doing. So, and we've got some rule changes that are really, significant to the more, pushing the fans to have, a better and faster game. And, and I've had some conversations with our refs, which we have a phenomenal ref team this year. Last year, we just didn't have the chance to really mature and grow that culture. But this year, we've been able to have them a part of our practices right now, and them kind of implementing those new rules and some of the things and rule changes are going to come, because how our fans are. Last year, we was in the middle of a game, and the fans did not like a rule, and they were right. It was a tough call. It was a blown call, and right then we as a company was like, boom, we got to change that right now. Fans don't like it. Let's change it. So we're going to have a lot more of that. So he's talking about rule changing. Our fans are probably going to be helping us more, than we come up ourselves and doing some changes.
I love that. And one of the things that's pretty great is hearing you talk about, how the not only player core is growing because of the expansion of the league, but I love hearing you talk about the refs too. I think that was one of the things that a lot of folks who were fans of season one were hoping to hear about, what's the kind of ref core going to look like? Are they really embedded into, the league this year round and kind of getting a chance to be able to be down with the players? I'm happy to hear that that's a part of the conversation too.
That's such a great statement because, I had to go meet with the refs and then we added it up. And a lot of, and we got to think, and I think our fans have to understand this too. You've got we've got coaches on our staff that's coached in the NFL for 15 years. Multiple coaches on our staff have done that. We've got people that have worked in football operations for we've got over 150 years literally of football operations in our entire organization. And they're coming from that traditional game, from football players to ops, to refs, and so to kind of retrain them, the professionals that have been and saw the game a certain way is tough, and that's why we had to come down and meet and say, hey, look, we want this to be fun. Man, Grant, one of our co-founders, had one of the best ideas. I want you to be live out, just be live, like call a play like you would call a play if you was at home, like say, hey man, stop holding. Forget the flag. Just be like, hey, stop. I'm holding, bro. Like, how dope would that be? Like, and that's the type of community that we want to have. We want our fans, our refs, everybody to see, like, let's have fun. Let's bring fun back to sports.
Coming up in a little bit, the commission will give you his 3 players to watch for the season. But now let's check back in with our friends JoBeth Devara and Sean Geddes. Last week, Matt and I showed them the FCF team owners in an effort to help them pick their teams for the season. But this week, we're going to take a look at team style and help them get their final decisions.
We can start top left here in the Beast. You've already seen the logo before. So let's get into these uniforms as voted on by the fans.
Well, first of all, green's my favorite color. So that's that. The design looks pretty sick. I like the spikes. And then it looks like scales on the background, right? So a beast. It makes sense.
All right. We did like the Glacier Boys. They were the first ones we talked about. So maybe they're feeling a little jealous that we haven't talked about them in a while.
So for everybody at home, they're the black and blue motif. Kind of teal in terms of the color scheme. 2 polar bears coming in from the shoulder blades.
I do like polar bears, take care of the bears. It's cool, but I still like the green. I still like the piece.
These are cold indeed. I think they got the perfect shade of the Arctic blue.
All right, we can move on to the Zappers now.
It's red and yellow, and I feel like the colors kind of meet each other in the middle of the jersey. I think that's pretty cool. I think the lightning bolts are well placed.
I immediately got a cross between Talladega Nights, The Flash, and McDonald's. So
yeah, I'm getting all the same notes.
Wow,
I dig it.
Accurate.
All right, next we'll go to the new Should Have Been Stars uniforms.
So they're pulling in a little bit of purple and pink into their jerseys. Big Should Have Been Stars logo across the front. And they're mixing a little bit of the actual logo, which I still don't know what that logo is. I don't know if that logo is a burglar.
As far as I can tell, Khalif, and trust me, I did some graphic design classes in high school. It is a flame with a mask on.
I love it.
It's cool. I still like the green.
First of all, trust me, I took some graphic design classes in high school. It's hilarious. I love the Should Have Been Stars logo right in the middle, popping out like that, almost like it's coming at you in 3D. I think that's pretty cool. Also, I'm a big fan of pink. Since I was a kid, I love October. I always, real men wear pink.
So it sounds like you're locked in for the season in terms of your picks, both JoBeth and for Sean. Any last things that you want to share in terms of why you're aligning with your respective teams? I'll go to Sean first.
One, I like the color scheme. I think the color scheme is pretty cool. They're the defending champs, even though they changed ownership and name and all that. Still defending champs, still same color scheme. And I was pulled in by Austin Eckler, and hopefully they're able to lead us back to the promised land this year. I can't go through any more losing. I do enough.
I love it. Joe Bethany, the last word is yours in terms of your thoughts about the Beasts.
Hey, beasts are gonna do what beasts do best, and we got a woman co-owner. We got Marshawn Lynch on the team, so I'm confident. I'll catch you guys on the back end, and you guys can give me my money then.
I love it. I love it. I love it. That's the perfect way to end this segment.
When the Should Have Been Stars play the Beast, it's on.
Oh, it's on, Sean. I already told you.
Thanks again to Sean and Joe Beth for joining us, and congrats to Should Have Been Stars and the Beast for getting their new incredible fans. Now let's look at some of the players that you should be looking out for with Ray Austin. So Ray, one of the questions I have to ask you is about, we have this mix of returning players, we have new folks coming into the league. Give me 3 folks who you think that we should all be checking out, be paying attention to. Who's your number 1 guy that we should be checking out for the next season?
Man, you put me on the spot with my number 1. But these guys are all like my kids. So I have to say Andrew Jamil. I'll bring him up first. He's a smaller receiver, but I tell you, man, this guy he's just that one spectacular thing from happening away from, really, blowing up and being a really big superstar. He's been just, he was quality guy last year. We found him in Atlanta. Me and Destroying were actually at a tryout, and actually Destroying brought him over to me. He's like, man, watch this kid right here. And I mean, he was just destroying everybody. I know that sounds crazy, but he was massacring everybody. And I was like, man, we have to get you in the league. We got in our league, and he just showed out. He was really one of our top guys. He will be definitely a fan favorite. He was with the Glacier Boys this year, and probably will be this year too as well.
Nice. And who would be your number 2 player to watch for season 2?
I'm gonna jump to defense on a newer guy just by watching defense and some of the one-on-ones. Sean Kelly Jr. He was supposed to be with us last year. Didn't get a chance. He ended up getting injured right before season, which sucked. But he stayed in touch, and we end up getting him back this year. And I've just seen him out there competing with some of our wide receivers, man, really showing me what he can do. He can play safety, he can play corner, and that's kind of what we look for, kind of hybrid type of guys. But he will definitely be someone to watch. And when you guys are picking your defenses, you definitely want a good, solid corner, because we're gonna have some tough wide receivers this year.
All right, season 2. One more player. Who's your number 3 pick to check out for season 2?
I tell you, man, I'm excited to, we all know Johnny Manziel did a great job for us last year, and he's coming back this year, which I can't be more excited. And the reason I say that, not because of him being an athlete and a quarterback, the one thing I can say about Johnny, man, Johnny has got some tough skin, man. He can take a bullet. Like, I can't imagine all the people that were saying the things, and man, he is just a solid guy. Came in and was really like picked up the energy of the players. The players started to play bigger, because why? I want to sack Johnny Manziel. The wide receivers started playing better. Why? Because I want to catch that touchdown from Johnny. DBs was out there balling out. Why? Because I want to get that pick. And it's like when you implement or like put a guy like him into the league, it just makes all the other players just play that much at a higher level than he does. So I'm glad that he's a part this year, and we're going to have a lot more guys like him.
Once again, thank you to Ray Austin for joining us and dropping some knowledge for all the fans out there for week 1 of the season. And next up, we have a fantastic conversation with star analyst, the person I would like to call the People's Analyst, Jose Ruckus. How are you doing? Thank you so much for being on the People's Pregame with us this week. Excited to get a chance to talk to you about all the things you bring to the table. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. I'm really excited to talk some FCF with you. I haven't talked FCF in a minute, so...
It has been a while. It has been a minute. I want to talk to you about some really fun things that I got a chance to see you engage with in season 1, which was, one of the biggest conversations around the league is how involved the fans can be with not only the minutia of picking plays, but getting a chance to really talk to and be a part of the fandom by being so closely tied to or connected with some of the players. what was your experience like kind of, seeing this thing become what it was in season 1 and saying, I want to get connected to this? How did you get connected to Fan Control Football?
So I got into it by one of the owners, big fan of them, and I just got really excited to support their team. Got into it, and I decided I didn't see a lot of content going around in season 1, so I decided I wanted to make some content for the league. And what was crazy to me was almost immediately players reached out to me to come on the show. Like, they wanted to talk with the fans. They wanted to be involved with stuff. And that's what's really cool about the league, is that the players know that the fans have so much control, and they want to be involved with, getting to know you guys, letting you know what they want to do in the league and all that.
So with the experiences that you've had from season 1 and being, one of those kind of leaders of community in that way, what would you tell other folks who are not coming to the league for the first time about, how, if they want to be in some of those positions where they can feel like they are connecting to their team that they've chosen and to players that they want to choose, that they've chosen and gotten really familiar with, what would be some things you would suggest to them in terms of getting closer to the game in the way that you did?
Well, what's great about this league is it's just so easy to get a hold of a player in this league, right? They have the Discord. They're all available on Twitter. You can just tweet at them. But what I would recommend is find your guys, the guys that you really, really believe in. You want them on your team. For me, obviously, I got to be friends with Jerdy and all that. He's a great guy. But obvious, he was going to be a number 1 quarterback in the league. Everybody knew that. What I think my biggest accomplishment was finding Ed Crouch last year, the guy who on the last play won the People's Championship. Very early on, I found that guy. I saw a lot of people weren't talking about him and stuff, and I was just like, I think this guy's an amazing playmaker. I'm gonna get him on the Aces. Reached out to him, and just talking back and forth with him, just being like, I believe you. I want you on the Wild Aces. You're gonna be my guy. And he was just so down because they love that they have that connection with the fans here, that they have people who believe in them, who think that they're stars. I think that's what you should do. Find players who you genuinely believe in and support them.
I think one of the things that didn't dawn on me until literally right now was you talking about leveraging your space to be able to say, hey, come rock with us. In a space where a lot of sports, and especially professional sports, are like, you can't tamper with the process of doing that work. And this is a great thing about our league, is that the fact that there is no idea in terms of what tampering looks like in that way. You're supposed to go and root for folks and say, hey, please come on my team because I want you to be able to win for the squad that I care about. So I didn't think about that until now, but that's kind of brilliant in the way you talked about it.
If people don't know, last year the Wild Aces just straight up stole Ladarius Galloway from the Beasts. Just stole him right off the team. If we don't see that happen in season 2, man, it's going to be a big disappointment. Go out and steal a player off another team.
Oh my goodness. So talking about that, I want to dig into it really quickly. Are there any folks that you're looking at? Give me that analyst eye. Any folks that you're looking at right now that you're going to say, you got to be picking this person for your squad going into season 2?
So for me, I think one of the most underrated parts of season 1, and I believe the draft process is going to work the same way this season, was people were not picking O-line very high. And O-line is such a high valued position in this league, not only because it's going to open up your run game, it's going to give you the pass protection, but tight ends get looped into O-line groups. And tight ends are weapons. Not only are you going to get an elite blocking crew, you're also going to get big weapons like Tommy Ojoie or our boy Joe Tito, who was a defensive player. He's moving to tight end this season. Tight ends are huge in this league. That's what I'm looking at for season 2.
Ooh, that's a great pick for all of you at home. Make sure you wrote that down somewhere. Put that into your frame of reference when you're in the app and picking plays and getting folks together for the draft. Any last bits of suggestions for folks who are, again, new to the league or returning to the league, things that you want to share with them? And definitely, we got to make sure you get a plug in for the wonderful work that you're doing as well in the streaming spaces too.
Yeah, I would just say enjoy it, embrace the players, because that's the best part of this, that fan-player interaction. Just embrace that as much as you can. Support your team. Call good plays. They're all good plays, but find the good ones and call them. And yeah, I'm streaming 3 times a week over at twitch.tv/Jose Ruckus. We're still talking sports there all the time, so stop by anytime you want.
So you've heard it from the man, the myth, the legend again, the People's Analyst, rocking with us, Jose Ruckus, getting it in with us on the People's Pregame. Make sure you're taking all those ideas into account. Make sure you're picking those good plays, and like Jose said, run the good stuff. Before we end today's show, we have some important updates coming in hot from the FCF Rant Line. And remember, if you want to be a part of the show, go to lx.com/rantlinefcf. Over the last 2 weeks, you and the fans have sent in your hottest takes in our Ready for Takeoff challenge, and then you went to the FCF app and voted for a winner.
All right, Kyle, so we got a winner, and it is Sir Doom 34.
The Apes this year, gonna have the best team, 100%.
Shout out to Sir Doom 34 for rallying all the troops, making sure that that was all a part of the game plan. I saw that man on social media going amazingly hard, and for his efforts, he won an FCF gift card, and he'll be coming on the show with us very, very soon to come rock with us on the People's Pregame. That's awesome.
Very excited to have him on. All right, Colin. So also last week, we had someone come into the rant line unprompted as a response to Austin Eckler's comments over the last couple of weeks. So let's hear what Austin had to say.
You're not going to get this type of engagement where it's a dialogue back and forth where you can jump in these other people's streams. These other guys don't stream. They ain't out here doing that type of engagement. You're going to get the best engagement as far as your input to the entire community of Should Have Been Stars with us over here.
Again, a really cool thing about this show, I mean, bragging about how cool my own show is. But we're able to put fans on the same level as Austin Eckler. It's an even battleground here, okay? So we got a message here from Nerdy, who's clapping back, not necessarily, but he's got some words for fans out there who might have thought what Austin Eckler had to say was interesting.
Hey, it's Nerdy. Last episode you had Austin Eckler talking about how his team is full of fan engagement. He's going to be streaming the games and being involved with the fans. I'll tell you this, we had a preseason game just this last week, and the Bored Apes had their own stream going on, engaging with the fans, talking about everything going on with the FCF, talking about draft day upcoming, etc. We're going to have co-streams going on every draft and every game. You better be there, Bored Apes.
I mean, look, Nerdy is coming through with the heat already in his commentary. I got a chance to check out that Bored Apes broadcast, and they're ramping themselves up for the season, already bringing really great commentary into the conversation space. I was a mini quick guest on. I had my Knicks jersey on for a hot second, jumped in there and was having some conversations with them. And they're ready for the season. I think that they are, one of the teams now that their fan base is really pushing that conversation about how to have that camaraderie, not only within their own group, but across the rest of the teams in the league. So it's always really cool to be able to see folks kind of not only get into the conversation on the rant line, please do that, but also be able to kind of make this secondary, tertiary content too, that they're helping to grow their fan bases alongside the FCF. So that's super cool stuff.
For sure. And I think like the biggest thing that we're learning just being early in the show here from all of our guests, communication is so important in this league. Like if you want to win or if you want to have fun, like for both of those, you got to communicate. You got to be with your community, with players, the whole 9 yards. Like it just makes this so much more fun of an experience. And I think that's kind of like what FCF is all about. Romance, relationships, and fan control football. Communication is key here.
That is absolutely true.
But I gotta say, like going back to Nerdy and his message here, the beginning of it, like I was like, what's he about? He's about to talk some trash about Austin Eckler. He said like, oh, you're talking about your streams, but check out our stream. He didn't even have to say anything bad about Austin Eckler, but he threw that out. It sounded like a threat. We got our own live streams over here at the Bored Apes Football Club, and we're putting it all together. That's exciting.
Nerdy snuck that in. I like the way he did that. That was a little bit of a flea flicker if you want to think about it in football terms, right? It's like, pass it over to his friends and then kind of get that into the mix too. I think really, really smart. It's a nice way to get the things rolling, get that energy, that cross-team rivalry stuff kind of moving. And, Nerdy, I think is a brilliant savant in that way. Of getting those things into the space.
And speaking of flea flickers, which is a word that you said 28 seconds ago, Who would be great at calling that? Greg Meskel, FCF play-by-play commentator, and he popped by and also had a message to see what's next for our rant line. Let's check it out.
Hey everyone, what's good? Greg Meskel here with you, play-by-play voice of the Fan-Controlled Football League. Do you have a video you'd like me to add some play-by-play to? Send it in now. Share it with us at lx.com/rantlinefcf.
So yeah, send in like your video of your cat fighting your dog, or your 4-year-old running around with a knife. I don't know. That was a video that happened. Any fun videos like that you got, let Greg do some play-by-play for him. Or even, it doesn't have to be funny. It can be sports. You had some great highlights back in high school. Let Greg do a play-by-play for you.
I already know what I'm going to send in to Greg.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump into this pool myself. I got, some commentary for some videos that I've been recording and stuff with some games that I've been playing. Maybe I'll send in some stuff like that too. So yeah, Greg calling your plays and your videos and all those kinds of things is going to be amazingly cool. So definitely do that in the show.
Once again, that is lx.com/rantlinefcf.
And that's a wrap for this episode of the People's Pregame. We are cooking up so many more good things for you, so make sure you're subscribing wherever you listen to podcasts, and please take a moment to rate and review this podcast so you can help other FCF fans discover our show.
The next episode of the People's Pregame will drop next Thursday, but in the meantime, go ahead and check out our latest episode on your podcast feed of choice and on lx.com/FCF.
And learn how to get involved with the show by following me on Twitter at Khalif Adams and follow Matt at Matt S. Batson. Until next time, we'll see you soon.